Hello guys, Brian here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today, I'm going to talk to you about why you should embrace Grim Embrace. That was a good one. I like that. It wasn't really a rhyme, it's just me using the same word twice, but it sounds good. It sounds catchy. It sounds like a slogan. So we're going to talk about why it's important that you embrace Grim Embrace and other perks like it. So, I'm sure you have found, especially when it comes to the Survivor end of Dead by Daylight, that a lot of people are kind of already turning on the idea of Dead Man Switch and Grim Embrace, the newly buffed Grim Embrace that used to be a fairly useless perk and now is a mainstay in probably a top 5 slowdown in the game. And a lot of survivors and even some people in the middle have kind of turned on that, especially that combo in particular. Obviously, a lot of gens spend a lot of time on the map being blocked when both of those perks are brought into play, and a lot of survivors are already calling out that this is overtuned, this needs to be nerfed, it's already too powerful, and it's kind of creating a little bit of a hullabaloo. But I would say, challenge you to embrace this. And let's talk about why. First off, before we get into that, I do want to say that as somebody who was staunchly using Pop Pain Res, once Nowhere to Hide went away for a long time, I did feel like I got way more value out of those two perks than I do these two perks together, so take with that what you will. Combo can still be really strong, but I don't think it's the strongest still. So why should you embrace Grim Embrace, especially if like you're one of the people that mostly play Survivor, so you kind of just don't want this slowdown thing to be a thing anymore, and you want to be able to like not be doing the same gen over and over. Well, I'm gonna leave it there in that little thing that I just said. Doing the same gen over and over can be one of the most frustrating things in Dead by Daylight. I'm sure if you guys played during the Overbrine Eruption era of Dead by Daylight, when those were meta, whew, I'm sure you understand exactly what I mean, how frustrating it was to redo the same gen over and over and over. There's plenty of scenarios back when Overbrine Eruption was the thing where I would do the same gen to like 90%, like 6 or 7 times. It was incredibly obnoxious and incredibly painful. So believe me, I've been there and I get it. Very much get it. But that is gen regression. Gen regression. There are 3 different types of slowdown in Dead by Daylight, these being gen blocking, gen slowing, and gen regressing. Slowing gens is probably like the weakest, but still somehow one of the more annoying versions of slowing down. This is stuff like Thanatophobia and other perks like Gift of Pain that make your red bar go burr. Essentially, any perk that while you're on a gen it makes your bar go red, that would be gen slowing. Now this used to be like way stronger, but for the past like 3 or 4 years, behavior has basically phased this out of the meta entirely, and with good reason, because sitting on a gen for an incredibly long period of time is boring. It's literally just holding a button and then hitting spacebar, holding a button, hitting spacebar. So just doing that, except for a long time, is just like, there's just no interactivity there, because that's kind of the crux of most of Dead by Daylight and what makes it fun and what makes people stick around. Is despite a lot of its more frustrating aspects, it is a game that requires a lot of interactivity, and of course any game with there's multiple sides versing each other, interactivity is kind of the name of the game. So sitting on a gen, it's already not very interactive. It's just hit spacebar, hit spacebar, hit spacebar, and that's it. Making that go way longer is fundamentally boring. It just is. There's no 2 ways about it. It's just boring. It's just uninteresting. So that is not particularly fun or healthy. And then the next comes gen regression, which does this to like kind of a roundabout extent. And gen regression is probably the strongest thing in the game. Like I said, with perks like Pop and Pain Res being the strongest slowdown in the game. Gen regression is quite literally things that take off and remove parts of a progress of the gen that you've already done. With Pain Res doing the flat damage, Pop doing the proportional damage, Surge hitting multiple gens around you in a radius when you down them with an M1. Like things that make the bar progress that you've already made go backwards. And for the similar reasons that I just talked about with the gen slowing, is that gen regression makes you do things over and over again. Except the fact that gen regression is usually extremely strong means that you'll often, end up in situations not as bad as the Overbrine Eruption era of Dead by Daylight, but you'll often be doing the same gen over and over and over and over again. Thankfully, there's been kind of a built-in mechanic here, recently released with the Alan Wake chapter, to kind of like stem the tide with this a little bit, but having the same gen popped 5 times is still extremely strong and extremely frustrating, because you have to do everything that you did over and over and over again. And especially the fact that, like I said, all you're doing is holding a button and hitting spacebar, your progress to do all the progress that you have on the gen already wasn't an interesting gameplay experience. So having to do it over and over and over and over again also is not particularly fun. So these aren't very, very fun. So the TLDR here, you're catching on, is that both the red bar, the slowing of gen's progression, and also gen regression, things that actually damage and remove progress, these things are not very, very interactive and force you to do probably the most boring action in the game over and over and over again. So realistically, they're not entertaining and ultimately a little unhealthy for those reasons. But you know what's absolutely great? Gen blocking. Gen blocking is great because it's not making that boring action go slower. It's not making you do that boring action over and over and over again. It's just asking you to take a little time out. It's just asking you to take a little time out, take a break, go do something else. Go heal that person that's been running around the map injured. Go do a totem. Go open a chest, see if you find something cool. A lot of the things that people have asked for in Dead by Daylight in terms of to make the flow of the game more positive, especially from the killer versus survivor's perspective, is to give the survivors a second objective. Usually I'm against that because one of the things that makes Dead by Daylight very easy to watch and also really easy to play is how simple it is. Killer tries to kill the survivors by hooking them. Survivors try to finish the gen so they can escape. It's a very, very simple concept and it works. Very easy to digest, both as a viewer and as a player. Gen blocking kind of encourages this because there is other stuff to do in Dead by Daylight. You can go do altruistic plays, do objective plays with totems, you can be a loot gremlin with chests. That stuff is there. There's just kind of like really no incentive or reason to do it other than being optimal. Being optimal is always going to be the better decision over like doing these little side objectives. However, if the gen's blocked, you're not really losing anything. You're just being asked to go do something else for a little while. So maybe I will go do a totem. Maybe I will go finally heal that person. Maybe I will go search a chest because I have some downtime. I have some forced downtime that I have to go utilize now. But and the killer on the other end is happy too because, well, that gen that was like 70%, now it's going to be that way for a while. I can come around and I can kick it later to try and get it regressing. But for now, that gen's not going to pop. So I have more time to do chases, do quick chases, get more hook states, and get closer to winning the game without having it come at the expense of very, very boring gameplay on the survivor side. So the killer wins because they still get the gens delayed, which is the ultimate point of slowdown, is the game slows down. But also survivors aren't bored out of their minds because they're not having to do a gen for like twice the amount of length or having to redo the same gen multiple times. So ultimately, gen blocking is the healthiest form of slowdown in the game. So I like that behavior has this general direction more towards gen blocking as their primary objective for the kind of slowdown that they want in the game. I think it's a very, very good direction. I think it's healthy for the game, and I hope that they try to go after more perks like Grim Embrace over perks like Pop and Pain Res. What do you guys think? Do you think that gen blocking is the healthiest form of slowdown, or do you think that gen regression is kind of a necessary evil, or even gen slowing is kind of a necessary evil? No, that hasn't been meta in a really, really long time. Let me know down in the comments below. Well, that's going to be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching, but I do upload daily, so I will see you tomorrow. But if I do not, I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.